Hey guys, and welcome back to a new video. In this video, I'm going to be going over consistency and the idea of consistency in rank, and I guess how to become more consistent in rank. So this topic is a little hard to go over and it's very complicated. So I'll try to go over the most important aspects of this topic in this short amount of time. So the reason I thought that this topic was interesting is because you often hear pros saying that ranked games, or their high elo ranked games, I should say, are much harder than pro games or pro scrims that they end up playing. And to a large extent, for the higher elo games, this is true because there's a lot of randomness that goes on in ranked games. So consistency is obviously harder to maintain when you have a random environment. And what I mean by this is that basically in higher elo games, you're going to have to be playing with 3 to 4 random people for Immortal and above because you can only queue with a maximum of one other person. And this creates a lot of randomness because they could have no mics, they could be toxic, they could not listen, and this randomness obviously decreases your ability to be consistent in the game and causes you to also possibly play worse because now you only have one player that you can guarantee a performance from, which would be your teammates. While in the pro matches that they would play, it's a 5v5 that has 2 coordinated teams, and thus basically the better team would usually win if there is a best of 3 or best of 5 format because obviously they would be more prepared and more versed in the game. And basically, to decrease this randomness, obviously queuing with the one extra person or in the lower heroes queuing with 4 other people would be very beneficial for you to try to decrease this randomness and increase your communication, and in return you would become more consistent in these ranked games. So another thing that is often talked about when talking about consistency is this misconception that duelist equals good mental, and if you play duelist you're going to frag out, but it's really dependent on a person and person by person playlist. Because for example, Dazneth, which is a player who plays on controller, and he somehow managed to get onto the highest elo of Radiant. He plays Shotgun Cypher. Obviously, this is a low skill gun, but it's depending on your playstyle. He likes to play close with a shotgun, and playing Cypher and playing close spots can be annoying, obviously, and that's why his playstyle is like that. So, other things, a couple of tips that could obviously improve consistency is obviously having an overall good mood, not to be toxic, and enjoying a team vibe. Also, being able to play off yourself, make your own solo plays, but also be able to listen to your team when it's needed to play with your team. And a couple of points, one of the main points here that's really important is that more kills doesn't necessarily mean a better player or a better position, but rather you need to be the player who's going to not throw rounds, and you need to be more consistent by making these important kills that you need per round to ensure that you're going to win these rounds. It doesn't matter if you go for a 4K and you don't get the last person and you die and your team loses. That's also equally your fault as your team's. It matters if there's a 1v1 and you win that 1v1, and that's a lot more important in general. And this is my quick coverage of how to become more consistent and ranked.